And we are live. What is good, Pistons fans? I'm so happy. I hope you guys are as happy as I am after, man, I just realized I got the final score wrong. I was going to say after a 40-point win, it should read 92 there. Second game in a row, I've got the graphic wrong there, but bear with me, guys. I will get better at that. But look, guys, I'm just so happy. We're going to talk about it in just a moment. I've got a new guest, first-time guest joining me in just a moment. But after that, it's open air. So if you want to join, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how good this team is, how fun that game was, and just how exciting it is to be a Pistons fan right now. And I just want to shout out people as well. I'm going live on Instagram right now. So put your W's in the chat if you're on the IG live stream. But shout out to just all you Pistons fans. I feel like today's game is for, as Austin says here, that win was for all of us who stuck with them through 28 losses. Cade's lost season, all bench lineups of non-NBA players. That was for us. Great W. Beautifully said, Austin, my man. Couldn't have said it better myself. That, I think, for me, like, it's just all I could think about that game was, while I was smiling the entire time, was just like all those fans who have stuck through the bad teams. I'm just checking my audio. Is my audio coming through all right? I noticed YouTube users said it's not very good. But that win is just for everyone who stuck through the last 4 years, but honestly, the last 15 years. I mean, I've been a fan for the last 12. And I know we've had a couple of playoff wins in there, but, it's just everyone, we all deserve that. And I'm just going to quickly, guys, bear with me, just check my audio here. One moment. Sorry about this. All right, guys. Can someone just let me know if the audio is any better, because it might not have been coming through on my actual mic. It might have been on the computer mic, but I'm just double checking it all. Everything on my end should be good. So I hope it's better. But yeah, just what a game, guys. What a game. I'm going to just drop a link now to our first guest of the show, and we're going to talk through it. We'll talk about the game, where this team's going, how we're feeling. But like I said at the start, if you want to come join me, we've got one guest here to open the show, and then it's open air for anyone else. And we've got time to go here for over an hour. So yeah, this should be a really fun show. And yeah, shout out to you guys in the Instagram chat. I can see you there. I can't really reply right now, to be hard. One day, hopefully, I'll have someone to help me run these streams in the background. But yeah, thank you to everyone tuning in. But yeah, as I was saying, like, while we wait for our first guest to jump up here, we've had a couple of playoffs series, which obviously the team did get a win in 16 and 19. But for the most part, it's the last 15 years. There's been a few glimpses of hope, whether it was in 2016, whether it was the day they drafted Cade or won the lottery. But overall, it's been a lot of pain for Pistons fans. And it's just, I couldn't help but think of it watching that game, but in a way of like just being so grateful to have a team that's just capable of coming in and putting up 70 odd points in the first half and being up, like, just the Bulls didn't score a field goal in the second quarter for like 6 minutes. I mean, sorry, score a point, not just a field goal. They didn't score a point. So as Drew says here, bow to us. There's another one in here. BTA to them Bulls. Like, just what a fun game. But we've got my man Hash joining. Seeing Ink. Oh man, let's go.
What's going on?
What's going on, brother? Thank you for joining.
Detroit basketball is back.
It is well and truly back. Well and truly back.
That was an awesome game, man.
Man, I just want to say shout out to you for DMing me. I've seen Ink in the chat all season long, so I appreciate your support there. But it's awesome to meet you in person. Before we get into the game, first thing I always do is get first time guests to tell their story about becoming a Pistons fan. So fire away.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Windsor, like right across the border from Detroit. But I also lived in Toledo, which is like Northwest Ohio. So kind of always around Detroit, in the burbs of like Roseville. But yeah, I've been following the team probably since Grant Hill days. Um, high school was the going to work team for me. So after that, I would say probably 2010, I kind of fell out, stopped following the team. The Drummond years, let's just call them the Drummond years. I disappeared when Cade was drafted. I was super excited. Got back on the hype train. So, I mean, it's been a rough couple of years, but we're finally bringing it back. So it's good
They
to
really
see.
are. No, that's awesome to hear. And I guess it has been a rough. I want
They're,
to say the
they're
2020,
really, really bad, man.
it's been extremely rough since that first season Cade got injured. So what's that? 3 seasons like that. Those 17 wins, the 14 wins seasons. Those 2 seasons were brutal. And last season was horrific. But what tonight's game, like, I don't know if you were like me at all, but what were you thinking watching that game? Like, were you reflecting on all the bad times, but in a positive way? Or were you just like in the moment? Like, how are you feeling throughout that game?
I think this is the first game we saw the Pistons all gas, no breaks. Because usually around like they'll start hot and then they'll come back cold after the halftime, or they'll come back from halftime hot, but would have had like a horrible first half. So this is like the first time you've seen them from beginning to end, like complete the mission basically. I think that's what Bickerstaff's been wanting out of this group. Because he's like, I know you guys can win, but I want you to do it in this fashion, basically. So it's good to see them actually, perform. And I'm sure I haven't seen his post game interview, but I'm sure he would probably say the same thing.
Yeah, it was. And after that Hornets game, which was, that like you was talking about, they built a big lead and then it just evaporated and it got way too close. Just to
Yep.
see them come out and I mean, they were up by 40 points in the first half. Like, I know I just said that for those listening on the stream, but like, can we just take a moment? Like, you talk about all gas, no brakes. Like,
That
what
half was like, just insane. It was like 72 to what, 20 something, 29. It
is
was insane.
ridiculous. Like, I just, I mean, like, the first player I think I want to talk about was Asar Thompson. Like, what did you see from him tonight? Particularly, like, I mean, for most of the players, a lot of the damage was done in the first half. But yeah, just talk to me about Asar Thompson and his kind of game tonight.
Yeah, Asar seemed like he was in his element offensively. I mean, he's always engaged defensively, but he was going for it. He was not like hesitating, cutting, passing, assisting. So he was kind of involved in all portions of the game, this game. So it was good to see. But so was the rest of the team, to be honest. I mean, Beasley is Beasley. That dude's just a shooter. I don't think he's gonna do anything else for you except for making those threes. And I'm sure he'll have his down games, but he's been pretty hot. So, and it's good to see that he has a record now with the Pistons. I saw the screenshot you posted with him and Asar on the sidelines at the moment.
Yeah.
But no, Asar was solid. I mean, from start to finish, he had, he kept the pressure offensively, which usually he kind of lets off the gas and just plays defense. So it's good to see him kind of engaged in both ends.
Yeah, from the jump, like he had that dunk on Bizalis where I like he's obviously very capable of doing that anytime he wants, but I feel like maybe earlier in this season, he's probably going for a layup there, or even maybe trying to like avoid contact because of the free throw shooting. But like he just went straight up, two hands, moved Pizzalis, and then he had another couple of great finishes, like a spin move layup. And I feel like at times his finishing has kind of lacked a little bit. Like he'll miss some easy ones, but tonight, like from the get go, like you said, like at both ends, like normally like defensively he's going to be locked in terms of generating steals and making plays defensively, but yeah, straight away offensively, like he just looked like, as White Guy Next Door said here, like Asar's athleticism out of this world. And I think we knew that, but well, we definitely knew that, but we're really starting to see it now that he's like, do you think he's now just like getting his game fitness back and just confidence back after missing all that time? Or do you think like he's changed his game or something? Like, I think he's just getting his fitness back and building back his confidence to where it was before the health scare. But
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I think he does probably. I think the fitness has something to do with it, but I think also just the confidence in his offensive game has always kind of struggled just because of his percentage in the three from the first year. I noticed he's kind of been reluctant offensively, but he's kind of getting his mojo back, so it's good to see. And I honestly think Ron Holland has a lot to do with that because they're similar in some ways. And when he sees the Rook go out and do it, he's kind of like, I gotta up my game, right? So
it's a great point.
yeah,
It's a great point because like they do have some similarities in like what they're good at, and like offensively the jumper kind of lacks. But yeah, Ron will just never lack that confidence ever. He's just he's gonna try and dunk on you every time.
that is a dog for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, Ron tonight, I don't think he had the greatest game from what I saw, but he's a rookie. But we've seen him many a times, like have those, like even last game in Charlotte, like had 9 points in the second quarter. It was like, wow, this guy's all over the place. But some love for you in the chat here from YouTube user, another great Pistons fan as a guest. The show is so great. Appreciate you, YouTube user. But I'll turn it to you, man. Is there any, like, I can go through the players here and some other stuff, but is there anything you want to talk about in particular? Doesn't just have to be about this game, but just with the Pistons.
I mean, it's the X factor has to be the veterans, like you see Beasley step up, Tobias, has turned like, and I'm not a big Tobias fan, but I got to give him credit. He's turned it up. So, and then obviously Cade, he's just all-star level player this year. So you can't ignore that. But even Duran is kind of like defensively more engaged. So I just like seeing that Detroit basketball that I grew up to, like not coming off the gas, just hitting it like 200 miles per hour the whole game. And that's basically what this game was. Motivated me to kind of come on and talk to you about it. So, and we'll see, because tomorrow we have a back-to-back with them. So we'll see if they have the legs to keep it up for 2 games straight. I think that'll be another hurdle for them to perform at that same level 2 nights in a row. So we'll see. We'll see how the next game goes.
Can I ask you, as someone who kind of, you mentioned before, like the Going to Work team was the team you kind of grew up with in high school. I'm not comparing this team to them at all, but just with tonight's game, the way they were flying everywhere defensively, causing turnovers, out rebounding, just playing with it like that ferocious physicality. Is that, because I didn't watch those teams, is that kind of what it was like on pretty much a nightly basis on the defensive end?
Yeah, it's that like hustle energy. I mean, like Ben Wallace is my favorite player of all time. So, and he's an undrafted player that just had to hustle his way into the NBA and work hard. So that's what that team was all about, was basically that hustle energy the full game. Like, don't take a break after halftime, keep it going. And I think we're starting to see that now. So this is a good sign, especially if they make it obviously into the playoffs. Like I could see this type of energy getting them a couple of wins in the playoffs. If everybody stays healthy, of course. Fingers crossed.
So that's what I was going to ask you next. Are the Pistons making the playoffs?
100%. Yeah. I mean, through either as I want to say 6 seed playoff team.
Yeah.
I feel like they have that edge that they want to keep that 6 seed throughout the rest of the season, and I see them achieving that goal. Like I don't think that's outside of their capabilities, let's say. So, and if they do, it just depends who they get. Hopefully it's not like Cleveland or Boston, but if the cards are right, they could probably get through a team. So,
well, can I ask you?
That's my answer.
So I think they're clear of the Cavs. Unless the Cavs fell off a cliff, I don't think Cleveland's going to drop from 1 or 2. But
yeah,
if, as of today, they'd be playing the Knicks, or the other team closest to them is kind of the Pacers at the 4. But I think the Pistons would have to get to the 5th seed to play the Pacers if they're a fair way behind the Knicks. How would you feel about a Pistons-Knicks first-round series?
I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll have 2 wins for sure. More than one win, they won't win the series. The Knicks will take it, but they will make them run for their money, basically.
I'm with you. I think they 100% get at least 1 game, probably most likely 2. I think the Knicks are just the experience and all that. Like it would be like that would be an insane upset if the Pistons won. But to be honest, like some people might say my bar's low, but I just want to see 1 playoff win. Like just they get a 7-game series and get 1 playoff win. I think that'll do an incredible amount for this team. Me personally, will be the first playoff win I've ever seen for the Pistons. But just the fact we're having this conversation, I know there's still 28 games to go or something, but what were your predictions at the start of the season? Like, is this to you still like, I had no, like, this is out of the realms of what I thought was kind of possible for this year?
Yeah, I mean, with the vet signings, I was hoping or guessing that they would be in the low 30s win-wise for the whole season. But at this rate, they're going to beat that. So I feel like they're probably going to end up closer to 40 wins by the end of the year. Maybe even breaking that barrier. But in the summer, I would have said in the 30s wins-wise.
Yeah. I mean, I think I do some very, very quick math. They're on pace for at least 42 wins. Now, I haven't looked at the schedule ahead. I'm sure it gets a bit tougher. But if that, like, to me, I think if you can get to, I think the bare minimum now of what they can achieve this season is like 38, 39 wins. I want to say, 38 wins. I feel like that's 10 wins plus 28. Like, I feel like they're definitely good enough to get that, and they should get to 40, honestly.
Yeah, no, they're going to be a 500 team for the rest of the year. I don't think they're going to want to go below that. It would probably be a failure in their eyes if they didn't.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's it's crazy. It's crazy where they've gotten to this season. I know the East is all over the place and not necessarily the strongest it's ever been, but like these guys, I think, like, I guess I want to ask you this because, like, after last season, I think the general consensus, at least in the fan base, from what I read and listened to, was everyone was pretty down on the Pistons' young core a little bit, in the sense of I think everyone still thought Cade was definitely the franchise guy and a bare minimum an all-star. But I think specifically for guys like Ivy, Duran, and Asar, people were probably a little bit lower than what they were at the start of last season. What were your preseason expectations for those last 3 players I mentioned? And just where are you at with each of them now with with Asar, JD, and Ivy?
Ivy definitely, I would say, exceeded my expectations. with the injury, like I was so mad on New Year's Day when he broke his leg, and it just, I was like, why couldn't it be another player? And I know like everyone on chat was on me because they're like, no one should be injured like that, but I was just like, it should have been anybody else. Just let Ivy finish his good year. But with Ivy, he exceeded my expectations for sure. JD, I'm a big fan of JD. My wife like loves JD. I don't know why, but she's just like, that dude's a beast, and she doesn't know anything about basketball, but she by proxy is a Pistons fan. So, but JD, I would say, is right on. Did not meet my expectations, but right on cue for his age, I would say. Like I'm not gonna stress that too much, just because I know he's still young. He's still got many games to go and many years of experience to go before he actually reaches the level that we think he's going to be. Asar, I wish he hadn't had the missed games from the blood clot, because if he didn't, he would have been probably a lot different than what he is right now. So, like on a different plateau, we would be talking about him, as a defensive player of the year. Same thing as what we're talking about his brother, Amen. So if he hadn't had that, how many games did he miss? Like 30, 35, something?
Yeah, he missed at least 20 to start this season and at least 15 or so, 15 to 20 last season.
Yeah.
Might have been more this year, but yeah, something like what you said.
Right. So, I mean, assuming he hadn't missed that time, I think we'd be talking about Asar the same way that the NBA is talking about Amen.
Yeah.
So, minus like some of the playmaking that his brother might have an edge on, but defensively, they would be on par to each other. But like we were talking, the injury he has to ramp up, and obviously playing NBA games after missing that much time is pretty tough on your body. You gotta catch up to everybody. So conditioning wise, if he started on day one, he would be like in the defensive player of the year argument.
And I think that the other thing with Asar, like he missed all those games, like you mentioned, but couldn't do any 5-on-5 for like 8 months. Yeah. Like no 5-on-5. So it's like, yeah, he can work on his shot, but like, I don't know, like it all just 1-on-0. But missing a whole summer of that development is huge. Like, and I think, that's why we're starting to see him now get to where you were saying, where he's in the conversation with his brother. He's still got to show like he can keep this up for a prolonged period of time. But I think now, just off the top of my head, this is his 6th straight game with double-digit scoring, and just he's really starting to put together a good couple of weeks of hoops here of impacting winning. So, yeah, I mean, I was never out on Asar, but I'm just so happy to see him like being able to have this impact on games. And like you mentioned, like the confidence in like his scoring now, even though it's still probably a little bit of a small sample, like you can just see like him getting back to that kind of just like when you watch him at OTA, like I know it was really, really low competition. It was hard to evaluate for people, but the way those two played there, like would glide through the air with these crazy finishes and full of confidence. Like we're just starting to see that in Asar again. And yeah, there was some crazy stuff on Twitter, mainly from Rockets fans, saying he's nowhere near his brother. And it's just like, I mean, Asar's missed so much basketball. So it's awesome to see.
And honestly, also, Marcus Sasser, he was draining threes tonight. Like, I mean, they were like, I don't know, I don't want to call them trash minutes, but, close to the end of the game. A lot of the bench was on the court, but he was just sniping threes at the end too. So I don't remember how many he made, but I recall like 3 or 4.
4 or 4. 4 or 4 from 3, 5 or 5 in 11 minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty solid for Sasser. And I think he's kind of got that fire under his butt because Dennis is now on the team and he's probably like, got to prove my worth to stay on the court, right? So that's good to see,
Well, just on that, my guy Alan here has just joined the chat. Alan, do you still want to join today's show? If you can, shoot me a DM, my man. But he brings up Dennis Schroeder, who you just alluded to as well. Thoughts on his game tonight? Like, I mean, 4 points, 4 assists, or just thoughts on the acquisition, and then kind of just just your thoughts on him as a player overall and his play so far.
So Schroeder, I would say, is more going to help with the assists while Cade is sitting down. I don't think he's going to be like a scorer like Marcus. I mean, we've seen him score, but under a different play style with the Nets and Golden State. But with the Pistons, I feel like his forte is going to be in like organizing the floor, getting people to where they need to go, getting the right pass. I think that's going to be his forte. I still think that there's space for Sasser as a scorer, more so kind of like what Ivy did before he was injured. But scoring wise, I would say, I mean, he has a spot in the team for sure. I don't know about whether he has a spot once Ivy is back. That's going to be a little tough. You're going to have to let go of Marcus or Dennis. But right now, he definitely has time to prove that he deserves to be on this team, right? So, and I wouldn't be mad if he has like an 8-point game with 10 assists, like that would be a win in my opinion.
For sure. No, I think for this season alone, like he's going to play a very important role. And once Ivy's back, I think it's a different story with how he fits, because it will be interesting to see what they do with Marcus Sasser in the off season. Because I really like Marcus Sasser. I maybe if we go back, taking him in the first round might have been a bit of a reach, but I think he could still play a very valuable role on a winning team. But he's just, it's tough to fit him when he's your only backup point guard option. So, but it'd be interesting to see what they do with him, because I think there's really something there with his shot making and shooting and kind of the stuff he can do with his floater and that kind of thing. But I'm going to have Alan join us next, but is it Hash?
Yeah,
Hash. I'll turn it to you for the last few minutes, man. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest? Maybe even a prediction for All-Star Weekend with the Pistons players competing and stuff, but I'll let you wind out your segment.
No, I'm just excited. I'm just excited to see meaningful basketball again. It's good for my mental health. Last year, the year before, and just the past 3 years have been a struggle. So my family, I'm sure, is happy. They see me happier, and that's every day. But even my little girl has something to cheer for now. So last year we were really only cheering for like a handful of games, like 14 games, 14 wins, right? So it was pretty miserable. But this year it's turning up. I like it. Looking forward to playoffs.
Crazy. No, I love the family element of it, because my girlfriend's like invested in the team like me, and at night I'll normally, while we're eating dinner, I'll just throw on, like, if the Pistons win, like tonight for example, I'll probably put on whatever quarter I thought was the best while we eat dinner, and like we'll just watch like the best part of the game. Whereas last season and season before that, I just wouldn't even do that. So I love,
honestly, like, we go here to games because we're in Florida. So if we go to games, it's going to be the Magic or the Heat games.
Yeah.
So we're in Tampa, so it's like an hour and a half to Orlando and 4 hours to Miami. So last year, I went to the home opener, which was for the Heat home opener, which was against the Pistons, with one of my friends who's a Heat fan, and it's just good to not be that like team that has 14 wins like last year. Like it's just last year was just such a struggle, man. Like I don't know if like a typical fan would still be cheering for the Pistons. Most of them would just hang their jerseys. But last year was tough for sure. But going to see them like even here in Florida will be fun. And even pick up some road wins for them. That would be a great experience for, like I said, myself and the kiddo and the wife. Because it's tougher for away games. Like you're usually like one of three people that is like sporting a Pistons jersey in a sea of like Heat fans or whatever. So
no, I can relate. So the one Pistons game I know that I've been to was when they played in Boston in Cade's rookie season and actually won. And I reckon me and my girlfriend were the only like Pistons fans in the entire building, and they won on a Jeremy Grant game winner. It was an insane night, and I love the Boston atmosphere. It's a really cool arena, but their fans are pretty insane. So I really did not want to lose. So I can at least relate to being like literally one or two of like 18,000 in the arena supporting your team. But it's just so cool to hear like that, because like everyone here in the chat, like we all love the team, but your wife or partner, whoever, like they come along for the ride with you a little bit most of the time. So when last season, like you're down with that team, like it's just nice to be positive and be able to talk positively about the team and experience it together. It makes it so much funner.
For sure. And it's very different being like a Pistons fan in Detroit, because I was in that boat where you're going to home games, and home games are just like filled with Pistons fans. Except for Toronto games, for some reason, a lot of Toronto people kind of cross the border, and it kind of becomes like a 50-50 mix for some reason. There's a lot of Toronto fans that cross the border to go to Detroit games. But being a Pistons fan in Detroit and being a Pistons fan somewhere else, like whether Australia or Florida or Texas, like watching the games from like the away games is a completely different atmosphere from like the Palace or Little Caesars. So because like the home crowd in Detroit is like insane. The games get intense, and like one day I hope you go to like a playoff game for the Pistons and get that feeling. You'll get goosebumps for sure. But that feeling is insane. It's you can't pay for it, So
well, I'm gonna, if they make the playoffs this season, I'm gonna try my absolute best to get back there. So, but I mean, I can't. That's the one thing that sticks out to me in those two playoff series I've watched. Obviously, I watched them on TV in 2019, and I'm also talking about 2016. Like the crowd was incredible. Like I think they're at the Palace in 2016, but like it was insane. Like so loud. Like obviously it goes to another level in the playoffs, but like just seeing Pistons fans like packing out the arena was like I haven't experienced it in person, but like you said, I can kind of understand what you mean a little bit.
Yeah, and when you're good, like you can even flip like an away arena. Like I heard Pistons chants in the Bulls game tonight in Chicago. So, like that type of stuff can happen where the home team can like easily flip on their team if they're down like 50 points, right? So, hopefully we'll get there one day where we're flipping home teams.
I love it. Well, look, Hash, I'm going to get my man Alan up here, but thank you so much for jumping on, my man. I thought I was going to be solo here this afternoon. So thank you for jumping on. Please come back whenever you have the time. plenty of love for you in the chat, mate. And go Pistons. Got playoffs coming, and yeah, thanks
Appreciate
again.
all the good work you're doing. Keep it up.
Thank you, brother. Enjoy the night. We'll talk soon.
Good night.
Catch you. What a legend Hash is. Man, I love getting every single person up here, but when you get a first-time person up here, especially seeing Ink, or Hash, I should say, has been in the chat here from pretty much all the games, I feel like. Like, shout out to Hash. What a legend. And a few quick shout-outs here. My man, Alan, thank you so much for the donation, brother. Josh shooting threes made me smile. He sucks. Oh, I'll be honest, like, in the NBA season, I don't care about Australians. When it comes to Olympics and World Cup, I'm dialed in and I'll support the Aussies. But if they're on the other team, I don't care. So I feel you on that. Josh doesn't look great, but thank you so much, my friend. I know we're going to talk in just a moment, but I appreciate you sending your money in here. That means a lot. And like I always say, it just honestly helps so much. Anything. So thank you. And likewise to you, Mark. Shout out to you in Perth, my man. Hope you got to catch some of the game today, but come on the 3-1-3, a team of killers. I agree. Team of young killers. Shout out to the vets as well, but these young guys looking awesome. Thank you, Mark. Really, really appreciate the donation as well, man. That really, really means a lot. So thank you to you, and feel free to jump up here anytime soon, my man. But I'm going to drop Alan a link now, guys, and we'll get him up here. I haven't spoken to Alan in a minute, so excited to chat with him. See what he's been up to. Last time we spoke, he was on holiday, chilling near the beach somewhere. So we'll see where he's at and his thoughts on the team. But I'll go through some comments while we wait. But I saw some stuff in here about my girlfriend. White guy next door, hit that like button, y'all. Yeah, guys, if you could, please hit the like button, subscribe. Anything at all helps keep the channel growing, keep our community growing here. So thank you, white guy next door. Or Dan, I should say. We got Tom in here. What's going on, Tom? Just watch the first full half. Incredible. I'm going to watch it back after this for sure. YouTube user Jack, bring your girl on the show. Tom said it as well. Jack, you got to get your girl on the stream. I don't think she'll ever come on the stream, to be honest. Maybe if we're in the playoffs, but yeah, you'll see her behind the scenes because she's coming with me on the trip to Detroit. So you might see her and she might be in some of the content. But yeah, she's a huge Pistons fan as well. So she sits up with me, watches the games, and yeah, not to get too into myself, but yeah, she's pretty much the main reason I'm actually here doing this. So shout out to her. But Alan, I can see he's just seen the link, so he should be here in just a moment. Cody, what's going on, man? I sent you a message, big fella. If you want to add a last minute guest, I'm down for sure, brother. Just got Alan jumping on now. So once we've wrapped up with him, I will shoot you a link. I'd love to get you up here, Cody, my man. Get your thoughts on the team. We got Alan here with a new name.
That's good.
What's going on, man?
Oh man, not much. Just having a pretty good day, huh? Like I was at work when the game was on, and luckily my client enjoys the odd game of basketball, so we had a good work stay as well.
So you pretty much watched the whole thing.
Pretty much got like to the start of the fourth and then had to get in the car, but I mean, I really didn't. It wasn't. I know I wanted to catch it all, but I knew that it was a done deal from that first half anyway. So
no, the first half was the game. Like the third quarter was pretty fun as well, but yeah, man, I'll turn it to you. Like, but I've spoken enough. Like, just thoughts on the game or overall, far away.
Well, I mean, I know you mentioned it with and by the way, so good to see CNN come out of the woodwork. Great to put a face to a name, type thing. But yeah, man, it was just the whole, even though statistically you look at the sheet, Schroeder looks like, it was quiet, but it's obviously not. His impact for that bench unit, I mean, that bench unit, I think it was a halftime, was it like outscored him 38 points to something like ridiculously small, like 8 points or something like that. But I mean, just the way that you just don't feel that anxiety because you know you've got that ball handler. But not only that, you know he's going to do it on the defensive end. And I mean, you just look at Marcus Sass's stats, 14 points and 0 and everything else. But that's what you want him to have, you know, because that's what you just need him there for. And I just think Schroeder facilitates Sassa so much better than what we had previously. So he can, you know, we're going to see a better Sassa because of Schroeder, I think, in the end.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, it's and I think, did you mention it there? Like that hustle play he had where like he ended up like he dove half court, went back, like threw it over his head. Bulls got it back in the end. Then he like hustled for a steal, which turned into like a turnover off the Bulls. Like I was like, wow, like he's doing this in game 2. Like that's
right.
Love to see.
So
Because I think some people maybe with Schroeder, like he's had some comments. I think like no, I wasn't worried about him, but I think maybe there could be this thing around him that he's not selfish, but I don't know. There's just not. I just sometimes I see some stuff about him that I was like, oh, I don't think he's going to be a problem for the culture or anything of the team. But just seeing him do that, cheering his teammates immediately, like from the bench, like I feel like us as fans notice that, and yeah, it's so good to see him hustling, and because he's like such a skilled player as well for a backup point guard.
Absolutely. Instant impact, you know.
100%.
And the fact that he has relationships with the guys already, like he's already been mates with Beasley, you know, and he's already got these relationships with some of these guys prior. So it's just such a, you know, it's for him. It's not coming into a team where, you know, maybe he's not going to gel or whatever. He knows these guys, and you know, we've seen Detroit in the past when we have players come in, they welcome them and make them feel comfortable. So it's you know, before I would say in my head, like obviously we want to go to the playoffs, but I see it now, man. I see it happening, you know.
I think that's a great way to put it. Like I think the month of January was like, oh wow, this team can actually play us. Like I can't remember what their record was, but it was like the best record they've had in a month in like half a decade or something. Like it was like, okay, they're playoffs team. And like before then it was like, oh, they're definitely playing, but will they do playoffs? Now it's just like you said, you can see it that they're a playoff team. Like you can really see it. The rotation, the players, the level they're playing at, the blend of young and old, the blend of shooting and defense, blend of athleticism, but then players like Cade and Schroeder who can slow it down. You've got a guy who can come in and drop 20 points in 10 minutes in Sassa, just sitting there now kind of out of the rotation or on the fringe. Like Ron Holland can come in some nights, give you 10 points in a quarter and have LCA like absolutely going off its head. Like it feels like a real playoff team. It's awesome. I'm so happy for all of us as fans that we've got this to cheer for.
Absolutely. I mean, like in terms of weaknesses, you know, Tobias and just where we thought at that power forward position, maybe it was a bit weaker. I mean, he's just stepped up in the last couple of weeks and just, I mean, that 76ers game, I know obviously it's a revenge game for him, but just seeing that effort and those like legs, you know, becoming a little bit younger just out of nowhere and doing all these putback dunks, like what? But yeah, man, it's just like, it's so good to see him finally getting his groove. I'm still a little bit worried about Tech. I don't know what people think, but I'm a little bit concerned, to be honest, with Tech. I just feel his fit isn't as good as it used to be. And that's probably because we were shit last season. He looked good, you know, like,
I just on that, I think a lot of people will agree with you. But I think a lot of it has to do like realistically with what you said first. They're like his fit on the team, like the position he plays and the skill set he has. The Pistons just don't need it as much as they did last season. So kind of like what you said, the Pistons were horrific last year. So when he came in and a guy who could shoot and actually was like 6'6" or whatever, like he stood out, and it was like us as fans, like, oh my God, like what is this? Because we just weren't used to that. But he's the guy, probably like, not to be negative here, but he's definitely been the most disappointing Pistons for me by far. His play hasn't mattered too much this season, but you know, in terms of what I thought, and like even the way you and I were talking about him early in the season, like, and like he just hasn't ever really come around. But I think it goes back to what you said, just he's fit on the team. It's just it doesn't really fit now as much.
You know, it's you know, look, maybe he's going to turn it around, and I hope he does, because it's going to be obvious that he's going to be the weakest link if this continues, especially. So there'll be more of a magnifying glass on him if he continues to play this way, you know. But his contract's really good, so there's no complaints there. You know what you're getting for what you're paying is perfect. And but I would have loved to have got DeAndre Hunter as that backup power forward, man. In that little trade deadline, but it is what it is, and I don't think it's going to be that much of a detriment having Tech backing up Tobias, because he is. I mean, like today, he did defend well. He did do things well. It was just more. He really sometimes struggles that ball handling, and he really sometimes struggles at finishing around the rim.
Seeing it.
So
You remember that layup he missed tonight? I was even like,
oh man.
everyone, I was like, poor Tech, man. Everyone's gonna remember that one. He look. I think the 4 position is like the position the Pistons, whether it's someone like a DeAndre Hunter or that it's in the draft or free agency, whatever it is. Tobias has really stepped it up, and I think shouting him out for his recent play is definitely well deserved. But he's like 33 now, so having Tobias and Tech at the 4 is probably not ideal. It's fine this season, but going forward, it's the area that Trajan, I think, needs to address the most, probably.
Yeah, 100%. But apart from that, this team is the deepest it's ever been. Like, I mean, remember at the start of the season, I was a little bit worried about kind of our center position and things like that, but I feel like that's one of our deepest positions. When you've got the step up in defense that Duran's offering, the shot blocking that we're seeing from Stu, but also the 3-point shooting from Stu, like today was just beautiful again. Like he just, from the top of that 3-point line, he's draining that.
Yeah, no, and it feels like I was going to just try to look it up. He's taking a lot more threes in the past 5 games, I want to say. Not a lot more, but I feel like he's taking at least 1 or 2. So I'll say the past 3 games, he's taken 2 tonight, 2 the last game, and then he was 1 of 1 against the Sixers. So, and it feels like they're all from the top of the arc. Those like trailer threes, or they pick and pop, or kick outs. But maybe they're trying to look into that more now, because it's weird. He hasn't really shot them at all this season. So if they're going down, that changes him a lot as a player too.
It changes the whole trajectory of this team, because we don't, when we look at it from the outside, we don't necessarily have a stretch big. But if Stu can kind of mold himself into, I'm not going to say a stretch big, but like something of a consistent 3-pointer where he takes, what he does, 2-3 a game, and he makes 1 or 2 of them, then that's exactly what you want out of him. Because that play where we run, where you do the handoff, because they don't respect him at the top of that 3-point line. That's why he's always free there. So more repetitions, and I can see that becoming a little bit of a weapon for us, especially as we head after the All-Star break. Because I'm sure JB sees that this is working, and they're not respecting him. So let's capitalize on it while the teams don't respect him. Because they will soon. They will soon.
For sure. And it's just good to see him shooting him again. Like, because I feel like where he got to last season, his 3-point shooting was one of the only bright spots in that season.
Yeah.
But it just changes so much if he's a guy that's going to take the open ones and make, 35 to 40% of them. But no, he was awesome. And JD, like, I remember us the early days, like he kind of said that we were like, I think the whole fan base was like, what is going on with the center position? Like 2 of our lottery picks or top picks are there. And it feels like we don't have a solution there. But I mean, shout out to JD, like 3rd straight game with 5 or more assists. And I think I want to check the turnovers for tonight. 0 turnovers. Like he's had low turnovers in all those games. So I know the Pistons are shooting the lights out in those games, but an assist and assist. So him finding other ways to impact on offense has been awesome. And the defense as well has really, really stepped up.
Absolutely. And who thought we'd be here now, right? Like in this position. Who thought this would be the position we're in at this point in time before All-Star break? I never thought of it as a possibility. I'm not going to lie to you.
With JD or team as a whole?
The team as a whole. Yeah. I mean, you see certain pieces, you don't know how it's going to gel, but just with the coaching and the small pieces that we've added, and Trajan just doing such a good job with that, like this team, I hope they stay together because it's only getting better from here. There's a couple of things that we can change. We could move tech and get something a little bit better, I feel. But let's, if we start winning a lot of these games and we end up going to the playoffs and we're quite successful, let's keep Schroeder, let's keep Beasley, let's keep Tim Hardaway Jr. and Tobias, and yep. And our bigs, I think Reed is a great backup to have, even though he's third string and he's not getting the time he deserves. Man, it doesn't matter because if Stu's not playing, like he can do what Stu does in terms of hustle. So, and that motor. So I just love the team that we've got right now. And to be this good in the first season I know the core has been, but all these vets with the core, let's ride through next season, No,
I'm with you, mate. I think it's like the chemistry that relationships they've all built with each other this season. Like we all see it on like Pistons socials and them like talking, like supporting each other, but just on the court, like they're so connected. Like just thinking back to that Philly game, like that game to me was like there's no Cade, and I know Philly kind of sucked this season, but they had all three of their best players in. Like, so I think a lot of the fan base did not think the Pistons were going to win that game, and to see them just come out and play like that to me was like a culture win, where it's like you've got everyone bought in, everyone believes in themselves, trusts their teammates, because it's like Cade is the best player on this team by a fair way, like especially now with JR out. Like he's head and shoulders in terms of talent, skill, and all that. So like without him, they didn't have a point guard. Like missing a point guard. It was just Marcus Sasser, but Asar was a point guard. Like that win, I was like, and they've had a few of those this season, but it's just like, wow, there's something really special with this group that whether Cade's there or not, obviously you want him there, but like just seeing them blow out, like that was another game they were up by like 30 in the first half, weren't they?
Yep.
What the
absolutely. Yeah.
Who would have thought we'd be here? Like it's just it's the best, man. It's the best.
And shout out to the versatility of Asar as well, being able to plug him in that spot and then him just excel beyond what I can talk for myself, my expectations of how he would play in that role. I mean, I knew he was a good passer. I know he can carry and dribble the ball, but he just facilitated so well, and Beasley as well, just like helping him, giving him a little bit of help in that position. It looked right. There was nothing wrong about it. It didn't look awkward. There was no, the only reason that game ever got as close as it did is because they stopped trying. They couldn't be bothered putting all their effort in. And you see what happened when we played tonight, and we decided, well, JB obviously spoke to them after that game and said, you can't do that. And then them coming back and then actually just putting the effort the full game, and it was not even close ever. It was never coming back, just shows that we can keep that lead if we want to,
No, exactly. And that was like like you just said, the most impressive thing about tonight, outside of just the ridiculous first half, was they still won by 40. My score at the bottom's wrong for those who are tuning in. Like I've stuffed up these scores 3 games in a row, but the final score was 132-92. Like, and that's just like, who is this team? Like Pistons winning by 40. They were up on the Hornets by like 20. I know that game got way too close, but it's just like they just get better and better. And like that was the hope for me, at least. Like back in December, at least, was like we're so used to after the All-Star break, like packing it in, playing rookies 30 minutes, getting the two-way guys, like figuring out them, and you get the Malachi Flynns running around. But my hope back in like December was like this team can be like get better after the All-Star break. They can build to something better. And I'm not going to say I expected this. Honestly, I didn't. But just seeing them continue to get better and better and better. Like, we're missing Jaden Ivey, who second leading scorer at the time of his injury, most clutch points shooting on the team, most clutch field goals on the team, shooting 41% from three. Percentage-wise, the best shooter on the team. I know he's behind Bees, but like, let's not forget who they're missing. And I think anyone who says they're better without him, I don't believe that. Like, but like, what the hell? Like,
I know.
like, it's
And
crazy.
let's say for the playoffs, okay, we've got, Schroeder's obviously successful. You just plug Ivy into the shooting guard position, right? And then just keep Dennis and Kate as the ball handlers. Then you take away that kind of only real negative to Ivy, which is rushing the ball and, head down, dribble into traffic. You take that away with you have that secondary ball handler. Ivy doesn't need to go into that territory. So we've fixed a lot. And you're right, with what we're missing in the shooting and the clutch plays with Ivy, I mean, when he comes back, and especially if he comes back for playoff time, we're going to be dangerous for any team that we play.
Oh man, can I ask you, who would you rather play in the first round? Just assuming the Pistons were the 6th seed, would you rather play Indiana or the Knicks?
Indiana all day, man. Let's go, because I'd rather play them early, smash them out of the park, and and get that over and done with than later. Because and the only reason the last loss is they have a mental edge over us. They get in our heads because there's a real rivalry there, But I watched a bit of the Pacers today actually before the Pistons come on. And I had to turn it off because Halliburton literally annoys me on face value. I can't watch it because of him. I had to turn it off. I was very upset. So it was, it's going to be great to see us beat them when it comes to it, because we will. I believe we will beat.
See, this is why I'm not like ducking the Pacers, but the reason I want the Knicks is because I actually do think just for this season, and maybe they would overcome it in the playoffs, but like you said, Pacers have a mental edge on this team. I'm not saying they have a mental edge on Cade specifically, but guys like Stu, some of the other players on the team, I just feel like, I don't know, I would just rather play the Knicks because I feel like I don't think the Pistons would win that series. This is the weird thing. I'm just torn. I'm torn because I could see them beating the Pacers, but there's something about that mental edge that just worries me a bit for this season alone. Whereas I feel like the Knicks, I could get a couple of games, win a game maybe at Madison Square Garden, and that would be an awesome series. But the fact we're even can talk about either of those two being a playoff opponents, it's just so exciting.
It is, and it's because it's a reality now. And just didn't imagine it ever happening this quickly anyway. I did imagine it happening, but not like this. So, I really don't mind if it's either of those, like either of them, because look at the success we've had against New York. We've been the better team, I think, right? Majority of the season, we've beat them more than they've beat us. We won the series. So, I mean, we've got that over them. So that's I guess to your point, probably a good idea if we play them because we do have that over them. But either of them, I'm happy, man, because they're both going to be good series when they do happen.
They're not falling lower than the 6th seed, are they?
No. I don't reckon.
If we just if I just remove like my PTSD from the past few seasons, when you just look at what they're doing, for me, it all goes back to the Phoenix Suns game in Phoenix after they had that horrible loss to Utah at home. Since then, like, if you just look at them, I'd love to see their record compared to everyone else's, but they're probably a team that's winning 2 out of 3 games regularly. They really should just be the 6th seed. So I think we should just expect them to get there now. There's no reason kind of not to, unless something crazy happens with injuries, but that is what it is. So, it's crazy. It's incredible.
And we've got Chicago next game, right? So
All right.
that should be another win for us. And then we've got a bit of a hard run after that one.
I think they play. There's obviously like a week off of games. I think then they play first game back in San Antonio against the Spurs. Then they play in Atlanta, and then they have like a 4-game homestand with the Clippers, Nuggets, Nets, one other pretty good team. I said the Clippers, didn't I?
Yeah.
Man, there's one other good team in there. I think a West Coast team. So, pretty tough. Pretty tough. No way there's no reason they can 500 or better, but yeah, we're not playing like the Hornets and the Bulls. To say that.
We can beat the Nets, that's for sure. And I truly believe we can beat the Clippers too if we can guard that 3-point line well. But really, I don't think there's a team. Well, there's 2 teams that I do believe that could beat us most of the time, and that's Cleveland and the Celtics. But outside of those teams, everyone is mortal. Do you know what I mean? To us, like, we can beat them. We have every opportunity to beat these other teams. I just feel like we're not there yet with the perimeter defense to stop a team like Celtics or Cleveland. If I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, no, I'm with you for sure. Especially once it gets to the playoffs, like I do think that it does go to another level, and that's why, like, even though the Pistons have beaten even someone like the Knicks in the season series, like, I feel like it is just another level. So I don't think you're crazy at all. But
yeah.
Alan, my man, I think Cody's joining me. I've just sent him a link, but I'll turn it to you. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to leave everyone with?
Just about today, I think there was an interesting stat because I was listening to the Chicago stream and they said it is the second time in 50 odd years and however the many years the NBA has been around or Chicago's been around that they've had a 40-point deficit. So we're the second team in the existence of Chicago Bulls to give them a 40-point deficit.
There you go. What a ridiculous game. What a ridiculous. Yeah. It's unreal. Thank you so much.
Thanks again for having me on, bro.
Of course, man. Welcome anytime. It's been too long, to be honest. I don't think we've had you on.
No.
Whenever you got the time, just shoot me a DM, man. We'll get you up for sure.
Yeah, look, I'll probably I'll try to get on when I can, but it's going to be a busy month for me. I'm about to have my second child, so going to be be a bit crazy. So, but I'll be in the chat, no doubt, for sure.
I love it. I don't know why, but you know those memes where it's like stun. It's like, why'd you call my sister Malik Beasley? It's gonna do that.
I'm in a chat with some guys from Detroit, and I was like, "Hey, what do you guys reckon? Should I call my next daughter Malik Beasley or what?" And they're like, "Do it."
Well, look, man. If we don't chat between now and then, best of luck on all that. Congratulations on a second child.
Thanks,
that's
man.
awesome. Can't wait to chat to you again.
Let's go.
All right, mate. We'll talk soon. Catch up.
Catch you, brother. Cheers. Peace.
All right. Well, what a legend. And from one legend to another, we're going to get Cody up. Made some time to join us. What's going on, brother?
I think Malika Beasley could work.
Yeah, but daughter's name.
Malika Beasley might work.
Malika. How you going, man? Have Michigan State finished or something?
They lost. Very disappointing loss too. Very disappointing.
Like
I'm not here to talk about them. I'm here to talk about I'm here to talk about the GOATs, the Detroit Pistons.
Well, you live in Chicago, don't you?
I do.
But I don't know. I just remembered that.
Yeah, I do live in Chicago. I thought about going to one of these games, but I got a really busy week. With doctor's appointments and stuff, so like I just didn't have time. But yeah, I mean, what a game tonight, man. I mean, you want to talk about just an absolute beatdown from the very tip. Something's going on, man. Something's in the water. I don't know.
I agree. Something about that game, like we all know the Bulls suck, but something about that game, there's something happening there. Like you don't just get up by 40 points in the first half and it's just crazy. Oh, have you lost me?
Uh-oh. I lost you there. You've been cutting in and out a little bit. Am I cutting out on your end?
No, you're fine. It must be my Wi-Fi. Have you got me now?
Yeah, I got you.
I was just agreeing with you, so keep going with your point.
Yeah, I watched the Bulls the other night against the Warriors, for a little bit, and they were at least serviceable, especially with Matas out there, kind of doing his thing. Obviously, they ended up getting blown out in that game too, pretty bad in the fourth quarter, but they were competitive for 3 quarters. I mean, they weren't even competitive for 8 minutes tonight. I mean, the Pistons took them right out of the game, and honestly. Yeah, did they miss some open looks? Yeah, but a lot of it, they did not get a lot of good shots. Like, they just did not. Towards the end, they did because the Pistons just obviously stopped caring. When you're up by 48 points, it really doesn't. There's really no need to keep your foot on the gas that hard. But yeah, man. I mean, where to start? I mean, you talk about a game where Cade doesn't even really impact it that much. I know he had like 27 and 7. I mean, he really. It's really tough to say he had a massive impact on the game. I mean, he came out and was dropping dimes and stuff, but I mean, he was just fine. I mean, I think tonight it all stemmed from Asar.
Yeah.
To start the game. I mean, Asar came out with an aggression that we're starting to see him come with more regularly. I mean, the finishing is getting a lot better lately. He could be a legit demon, man. You could be a legit demon. I mean, he already is a demon defensively. We know that. And I think as he plays more, the refs are going to stop calling these like the soft bumps on him where he beats guys to the spot. I just don't think there's a lot of guys in the NBA that can do that consistently. So refs are automatically thinking he's out of position because he bumps him, but in reality, he gets to the spot before the offensive player even knows what he wants to do, essentially. So I think as he gains more respect around the league, his whistle on that end is going to get better. And he's going to have even more steals. I thought Malik Beasley, obviously outstanding today, made 7 out of 10 from 3-point range. I mean, he all-time record before the All-Star break. I mean, if I had to guess, he probably ends up with well over 300 this year. And I don't know if that's a record that'll be touched. At least not for a long time. The Pistons don't have any other guys that can flamethrower like him. Even if he comes back, I can't see him. I mean, this is like an all-time heater. I mean, for real, like the run he's on, the shooting run he's on. I mean, he shot 9 of 20 the other night. He shot 7 of 10 tonight. I mean, it's unbelievable. JD's playmaking chops are coming back. We're seeing that come back like where he was as a rookie, where he kind of showed that a little bit in stretches. I think that's coming back more consistently, and he's starting to make better reads. And I think he's finally locking in from game to game. I mean, he didn't do a ton tonight, but I mean, who cares? They won by 40. Stu making threes, finishing well around the rim, playing great defense. I mean, you could talk about pretty much everyone tonight. I mean, there's nobody that had a bad game. I mean, no. Obviously, when you win by 40, nobody really plays bad, or at least noticeable for it to be bad. But I think overall, man, I think you're seeing a team that, if they got the right matchup, could at least scare a team in the playoffs. I still don't know if they're good enough to win in the playoffs because the game just shrinks to the half court. And I think that's still a spot where, because right now what they're doing, they're just feasting on teams in transition. They're just absolutely feasting on teams in transition, and you just don't get that as much in the playoffs. So I think that's gonna make it hard from an offensive perspective. But man, I just keep thinking about what Ivy could be on this team, because I don't know if you saw the post from Woodward today, Woodward Sports, the dumbest sports network in all of Detroit. Just a bunch of jokes, by the way. I don't like them at all. They stink. That is my opinion only.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say that is my opinion only. That does not reflect the opinion of Jumpin' Jack Kelly, but they are the worst. So they said oh, the Pistons are better without Jaden Ivey. I'm like, dude, by the time Asar got back to playing meaningful minutes, J.I. got hurt. So how can you say that? Because the reason the Pistons are so much better now is because Asar is playing meaningful minutes and it's elevated their defense so much. Are you telling me that if Ivy was on the court with Asar and you flip out THJ and flip THJ to the bench, this team isn't better than what it is today? Like the whole problem with Ivy when he was playing is we were starting Ivy and THJ and Tobias. Like where are you getting the defense from there? You're not. So like Ivy was a problem on that end, and then also Ivy had to put the ball. Ivy had to have the ball in his hands so much because they weren't giving Asar secondary creation reps, and we didn't have Dennis Schroeder. Well, Ivy wouldn't be on the ball as much, so you can get him with a lot of spot up 3-point looks, get him with a tilting defense attacking downhill. I mean, I think legitimately if this team had Ivy, I could legitimately see them really pushing a team hard in the playoffs. Again, depending on matchup. Obviously, Celtics, Cavs, they're not ready for that. But anyone below that, like Bucks, Knicks, Pacers, I mean, why not? And it looks like they're going to land with it's either going to be the Pacers, Knicks, or Bucks. Realistically, because the way it's setting up, Orlando's playing terrible basketball. The Hawks, who knows what they're going to do the rest of the season? I mean, I think the Hawks will make the play in. The Heat, we have to see the Heat, how they gel. But, like, the Heat, they have the Thunder tomorrow. They're probably going to the All-Star break on a skid. I mean, we have a chance to, if we win tomorrow and the schedule kind of shapes up like it should, I mean, we're going to have like a 2 to 3 game lead on everybody below us. Because I think the Hawks.
The Pistons right now, just as of this exact moment, the Pistons are a game and a half ahead of the Heat, who sit at 7th.
Yeah, and they play the Thunder tomorrow. They're not beating the Thunder, so you talk about there'll be 2.5 games ahead of the Heat if they win tomorrow. I think the Magic play the Hornets, so they'll win, more than likely. And then I believe the Hawks play somebody good. I don't know who it is. They play somebody that I don't think they'll beat. I think they're like 8.5-point dogs or something. Yeah. But obviously the NBA is a night-to-night league. Like anything can happen. But if the results hold the way I think they should, the Pistons should have a 2.5 game lead on everybody, 2.5 to 3 game lead on everybody, heading into the break. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, but I think the Pistons schedule, even coming out of the break, is pretty soft.
It's like we were just talking about it briefly before. Basically, I reeled off some of the teams. The first game back, they play San Antonio in San Antonio. Then they play the Hawks, which is a big game. That's in Atlanta. Then they have the Clippers, Nuggets, Celtics, and Nets all at home. And then from then on, I can't remember. So
you've got.
But this is very quickly. It goes back to you talking about having that 2.5 game lead, because as long as you don't go on like a huge losing skid, like you can drop a game or two. But if you keep winning 1 or 2, like a 2-game advantage in the standings, that there's only 28 games left, or 27 after tomorrow for most of the league. So, that's a decent chunk to have a 2.5 game advantage. You're not home at all, but as long as you can maintain a certain pace, you're
yeah. I think the Pistons probably play 500 ball in the stretch. So I mean, you're looking at them if they play 500 ball down the stretch, that would be 42 or 43 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, with the way the Magic and Hawks are playing, I can't see them getting to 43 wins. I mean, that's a big jump from where they're at currently. I don't know if he can get to 43 wins. I mean, I think you could. And who knows what's going to happen with the Bucks? I mean, who knows what Giannis looks like after the break for the stretch run? I mean, who knows how that Kuzma relationship's going to work? I know they beat the Sixers. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, they just lost the Warriors, who are, the Warriors who were down 20 points to the Bulls a couple nights ago. I mean, it's not like the Warriors are playing good basketball this year. I mean, who knows what happens with the Bucks? I mean, if that Kuzma thing doesn't work out, and he's not a legit third scoring option, I mean, the Bucks might be in trouble.
I will
And who
say
knows?
as a team, I don't want to play the Bucks in the playoffs. Like I know they might not be great, but that's just I wouldn't want to play them. Or would
I'd rather play the Bucks than the Pacers.
Wow. Giannis just scares me in the playoffs.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like Giannis is tough in the half court, but you already said it. The Pacers are deep in the craniums, dude.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if I just don't know if they could because I don't think the Pistons fear the Bucks. I mean, every game they played against the Bucks this year has been very competitive. Maybe outside of one, I think they did that one game, but
the playing whatever the semi-final thing was for the play-in, that was a disaster. But I know what you mean. But yeah,
the Pacers are deep in the skulls, man. So I don't know if I mean, honestly, ideally, I'd like to play the Knicks.
Yeah, the Knicks is the one I want the most.
There would be I would just love to see Cade at Madison Square Garden in the playoffs.
On ESPN or TNT, whatever it is. They won't be on the NBA TV.
No. Playoff games are national TV.
No, but you know how there's always the NBA TV series? It's normally like the Magic, the Pacers, like whenever those teams are playing, like one of them in the first round always gets NBA TV. That's not national TV.
That's true. That's true.
I feel like if they're playing the Knicks, they're not there on ESPN or whatever. If you're playing the Pacers Pistons, I feel like it's the NBA TV matchup. Not that I care that much.
Yeah,
we're just talking about being full national stage. You're getting that when you play the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is they're a lock for the play-in. There's no way they can't make the play-in at this point. Yeah. So we are going to see meaningful basketball games regardless this year. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it. And I mean, obviously, like, if you would have told me, guess the Pistons record, but showed me the rest of the East, I would have said, oh, they're probably in playoff contention playing contention because the East is so bad, man.
Yeah.
Like the 76ers are off. Like there's nobody even competing. Nobody's even going after that 10 spot. Everybody's trying to avoid it. Like I can legit see a world in which the Raptors make that 10 spot.
Is Ingram coming back at all time? Like they actually can, you know. Like
because how many games out are they from Philly? Because Chicago's only a couple games ahead of Philly.
They are a full 5 games behind Chicago, but for Philly they're 3.5. But the way the Bulls are trending, I don't know.
I mean, shoot, the Bulls might win. The Bulls might go 9-19 or 8-20.
The Bulls.
For the Raptors, but even then, the Raptors would have to play 500 basketball to catch them. That's how bad the East is, man. Like you're talking about, the Bulls could go 8-20 and still make the play-in.
Yeah, the Bulls. If they are, unless Philly get it together, or the Raptors, the Nets don't care, the Hornets don't care, the Wizards don't care. So,
but what's the incentive for Philly? They have to keep their pick at this point. That core is aging out.
Yeah. No, they do.
I mean, it's just like a bunch of like. I wouldn't be surprised if Philly just said, "Embiid, you're shut down, man. You're done. Have the surgery."
Yeah.
Like that's. I mean, I'm not trying to get too far off track and not talk Pistons, but like the East is such a mess. Like nobody, literally nobody wants that 10 spot.
No.
So it's like, how like the Pistons like there's no way they can drop out because they're how many games ahead of the Bulls right now? Like 8.
They're not dropping. Like they're not going anywhere near the Bulls at 10. Like the Pistons. Like I know.
Well, I'm just saying they could fall. Like there is a realistic, where the pressure mounts and they drop to 9th. It could happen.
No, I'm not saying it can't, but I think it's our PTSD creeping in when we're talking like this. Don't you think? Like,
I'm not talking about them. I'm just saying like there's literally no possible way that they aren't playing.
No, but
which is crazy to say after 56 games.
Yeah,
or 54 games, I should say. Yeah. We're saying there's literally no way the Pistons can't make the play-in.
Yeah.
If you'd told me that before the season, I would have said that really after 54 games, there's no way they can.
There's really no way they can fall below 9. Like you said, the Magic have been a mess. What they won like 2 out of the last 15 games or something insane. I heard it on.
I mean, dude, they had a combined almost 80 points from Franz and Paolo last night, and they lost to the Hawks at home.
Wow.
Like, you get 80 out of those two guys, and you can't beat the Hawks at home.
Yeah, and like I know they're missing Suggs, but
I mean that is a big loss for them because their defensive numbers have gone way down since he's been out.
Yeah.
So like, because he's such a big like on ball hound and pest like Kassar, that like that really hurts them when like Trey didn't even do anything that crazy, but he was just in such control of running the squad and getting the right guys the right shots. I mean, it's gonna be interesting, but yeah, man, the Pistons they're showing me something. They win tomorrow, and I won't. There will be very few games. I'll have to look at the rest of the schedule, but there will be very few games where I say they probably can't win this.
Yeah, and I think like the first person he started talking about was Asar. He's been the guy to me like the last 2 weeks maybe that it's just been like wow, like you said, the finishing, the defensively, like he's always been a playmaker on that end, but it feels like he's gone to another level just in terms of disruptiveness, even maybe the last couple of weeks. And then, like we said, the finishing, the playmaking, the passing reads he's making. Even if the assists aren't incredibly high, like for a wing secondary guy getting like 3, 4, 5 assists is huge. And he tonight, like he was the guy who stood out the most to me in the first quarter and a half. Like Cade had some nice plays, but that was just like a normal Cade game. Whereas Asar, I was like, holy shit, this guy is like,
I mean,
it's like he's not a man yet, or not. Like he's got to do a lot more to get there. But holy shit, like he can get close,
dude.
Like,
I mean, but the thing is that people are discounting is because Asar played more games than Amen the first year. Amen had that ankle that was lingering. It was a problem for him. But Amen had the entire offseason, and in Houston, they used him perfectly for his skill set. They do. They use him perfectly. Asar is, I think, just getting back to the point. I think JB knew all along how he wanted to use him, but knew he probably couldn't do it that way right away because he's only getting these 3-minute spells or 4-minute spells. Like he can't get into the like. Asar feels to me like the kind of player that like he gets better as the run that he has gets longer, and they couldn't do some of that stuff. So like I think it's gonna get better and better. And I mean I'm not gonna lie, like the last few games has been another reason why it's like Monty Williams deserves prison time, life in prison. I like the Bill Simmons idea where he said put Killian Hayes and Monty Williams on a desert island and make it a sitcom. Like whatever, that man deserves jail time because the Pistons are using Asar so creatively. Like I watched Kudu breakdown and I had taken note of it as well from the other night.
Yeah,
like they're combating setting up in the corner, knowing how the defense is going to play them. So there's a play in the Hornets game, and Kubrick broke it down perfectly on Twitter. Taj Gibson was sitting in the lane. He was ignoring Asar. He said, I don't care. This guy's not going to shoot. I'm sitting here in the paint. I can't get out there anyway. I'm 40 years old. So Cade rightfully swings it to Asar. And what does Asar do immediately? He turns, kicks to Tobias, and sets a ball screen. Goes right into DHO. Like literally goes right into DHO. Rolls. Seth Curry steps up, perfect kick to Cade, wide open 3 buckets. So now JB is even saying, I'm countering the counter. I know defenses are going to sag off on Asar. Well, I have something for you. Whereas Monty would just be like, oh, go ahead, Asar, go sit in the corner, shoot as many threes as you want, even though it's not your skill set. Just go park over there in the corner and let's not use you for the physical freak you are. We'll just have you shoot 6 threes a game that are all short and make you look dumb and not accentuate your play style. So yeah, that was just like another thing that I love about what they're doing with Asar is that they're actually finding creative ways to use it in, I guess, situations that anyone who watches the Pistons would deem as, I guess, negative, like potentially negative situations for Czar. They're turning negatives into positives with him.
Yeah, no, and he's like, I think with the 3-point shot with the Tsar as well, like it's never, he can become league average potentially, but there's so much more. Like him at his best, I don't even think the 3-pointer is like a part of his game. Like you mentioned, the playmaking. I've enjoyed how much they've used him as a screener. Like you broke down a play then, but like just, yeah, JB being willing to do that and seeing Asar be also willing to do that, be a screener, because like he needs to buy into doing that as well. Like, and he's so dynamic. It's crazy. And like the other thing, like, is just he's an automatic like paint touch, and the better that handle gets, like having him out there. It's why, like, going back to what you said about the thing with the Pistons, what Woolwood Sports had, like better without Ivy, or as a star, better, whatever. It's like adding Ivy in there with a 41% 3-point shot and the ability to, you know, attack a closeout. It's just there's so much potential with him, Cade, and
well, because that's the difference between THJ. Like, I'm not saying Ivy is as good of a shooter as THJ is at this point, because I think Tim Hardaway Jr. has proven that he's an elite shooter for a long time. I mean, I don't know what he would rank in the last decade for 3-point makes, but my guess is it's pretty high. But like the difference between Ivy and THJ is THJ cannot attack closeouts like that, and if he does, it's a one dribble pull up. Like he cannot like get to the rim like Ivy could and force pressure. And then guess what? Ivy's forcing pressure, and you have both Duren and potentially Asar in the dunker spots. Ivy breaks on the defense and dumps it off one way or another, a dunk either way. Like that's something we didn't get to see. We just didn't get to see it because Asar was not playing that many minutes when Ivy went down. I mean, he's just ramped up in the last month to be like high 20s.
No,
and that's why I think it gets, and I think that's where it gets very interesting of what do the Pistons do next year. Because it's like, do you just run it back and see what the team looks like? And that's why that's why it's like it sucks, because like, why couldn't we just have this one season where everybody can develop and we can see it all for a full year? Why does Cole Anthony have to exist?
Yeah.
He's literally a below average NBA player, and he's out here breaking legs, man.
Yeah.
Gotta hate Cole Anthony, man.
It sucks.
Because you would have a legit, you know, by the time, like, you would have had a legit 35 to 40 game sample size of Ivy and Asar playing big minutes, like big enough minutes together to see how that looks. Because then it opens up the door for what do you do next year? Because obviously I think we need to upgrade the 4. But it's like, how are they going to do it? Because you want Beasley back. Obviously, you want Beasley back. Depending on how Schroeder plays the rest of the year, you probably want him back. Do you just have to like kick the can on THJ and then try to find another, you know, league average 4?
Yeah, it's really, unless you're trading Tobias next in the summer, if you want to bring back Beasley, and then run it back. I feel like Cade, if they make the playoffs and win over 40 games, is probably going to make All-NBA third team, which adds an extra. I wish Kyle was in the chat, but it adds a fair bit extra onto his contract. Like, basically, what I'm trying to say is it's really hard to, without going into the tax, to significantly upgrade at a certain position if you bring back Beasley and keep Tobias. So I'm not sure if you're still there, Cody, but I think we might have lost him. But I still think it's a very good position to be in. And if they make the playoffs, they win 41, 42 games, maybe take the Knicks to 6 or 7 games. Oh, wait, here he is.
I just realized I didn't click to like log into the StreamYard app. I was still on Twitter. So when I went to click out and go look up something online, because I was going to look up like free agents at the 4. Yeah. And as soon as I clicked out, it logged me right out.
No, you're good. I was just basically saying, like, unless you want to trade Tobias and if you want to bring back Beasley, if you're running it back, like, yeah, they don't have a whole lot of cap space. So It's
Well, yeah, because like the hope would be right. You would pray that you could fit Malik into the MLE.
Yeah.
And then you renounce THJ, and then it's like, do you, depending on how Schroeder plays, like, do you want that consistency with the second unit? Because I think we've proven that, like, or is this like where you can, like, maybe you find someone in the draft in that, because you're gonna have like basically an end of the first round pick, where you feel like you can find a guy who you can at least feel comfortable just running an offense.
Yeah.
And you get him you get that person on the cheap, and then you can try to upgrade the 4. I mean, I think because it's like what I wonder is like what Trajan's thinking. Does he think I need to upgrade the 4? I'm going to upgrade the 4, and then like is Ivy the odd man out? Like in a 4-man package where you would trade like Tobias and Ivy, and then like a pick for like an upgrade at the 4.
I feel like if they did that,
I just wish I could get in the head of Trajan and know what he's thinking.
I feel like he's thinking probably like, I mean, basically, if they go the way we think they're going to go, say they get the 6th seed, they win that like 43 games or something, push the Knicks to 6 or 7. I think you probably would just run it back, maybe try and extend Ivy on maybe a more team-friendly deal if you take that, and then just, I don't know, like try that. You need to upgrade the 4, but like how valuable, like Tobias's impact, like off the court, he's still an expiring, so he's still sort of more of an asset next season as well in terms of moving him the deadline. Like
because I could see the argument if they run it back until the deadline.
Yeah.
Knowing that they have a Tobias expiring and all their picks back.
Yeah.
And if next season's trajectory is going the same way that this season's is, or even a little better, then you take that swing. Like if Cade takes another step, Asar takes another step, Ivy comes in, fits seamlessly, Duren takes another step, do you just say, okay, I trust this roster and I'm ready to make the move? And then it's like, what do you trade? Like, do you go? And then it just gets complicated with the packages, right?
Yeah.
It's just weird because like, what sucks is there's no incentive for Ivy to sign an extension right now.
Yeah.
Because I think he would know, like, oh, that like I haven't shown enough yet to warrant this giant deal. And like honestly, if I'm Ivy's agent, I'm staring at that Emmanuel Quickly deal, and I'm trying to figure out how I can finesse the Pistons into giving him that much money.
Yeah.
I think the Raptors regret that, like, wholeheartedly.
Yeah, that deal is horrible.
So it's like, obviously, like, if you could sign Jaden Ivey for $20 million a year, I think you would run the contract to him.
100%. I think even on a discount though, he's going to cost like close to 30, or if not a little bit more. If you get him like the Jalen Green one, I think was like 3 years, $100 million that he signed. Roughly off the top of my head, maybe it's 110. So
yeah, but I think if you're talking, I think Jalen Green, arguably, not that he'll ever put it together, just arguably is more upside. He's bigger, more scoring pop, more scoring potential. Like I think you can do better than that deal, and I think the Rockets are. I think the Rockets just know. I think the Rockets signed that because they're such a luxury that they have so many assets that they can just fold them into a deal if it doesn't improve.
Yeah.
Like I don't think we have the luxury of making those mistakes because we don't have as many assets.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think Ivy can be a decent long-term piece here. My question is, the better obviously the better the contract you lock him in at, the more valuable he is in the trade.
Yeah, for sure.
And then what's the JD deal look like? Who knows? Because he's playing a lot better.
No, definitely.
So it's like I hate to talk about the future, but like I know that this team's not contending yet. Like undoubtedly I know the season's gonna end. So I'm just fascinated at like trying to get in the mind of Trajan and thinking like, what does he think the next move is? Like Trajan would be like top 5 to 10 people on planet Earth that I wish I could just get into his brain right now and know everything he's thinking.
Okay. We both agree that the 4 is like the position going forward that needs to be upgraded the most by a fair bit. Is there a player?
Hey, if Asar decides to grow another 2 inches,
but is there a player in the NBA right now that you would consider that package of like Ivy, salary, and a first for? Like I saw Larry Markkinen in the chat before.
Oh, Laurie would be perfect. I just don't think that's enough.
What the Pistons? The Pistons?
Yeah, I just don't think Tobias plus Jaden Ivey plus a first is enough for Laurie Markkinen. Because I think Danny Ainge would be looking at that and he'd be like, if I give the Pistons Laurie Markkinen, that pick is going to suck.
Yeah.
So he would probably be angling for a pick down the line potentially and hoping that Cade forces his way to Detroit eventually or something. But I don't think Danny Ainge looks at that package and is like, basically I'm trading Laurie Markkinen for a middle first rounder and Jaden Ivey.
But let's just say then, just for this,
I don't know if that's good
I
enough.
think you're right, but say it's a 2 or 3 first, right? And they do the pick swap stuff, and it's Ivy and it's salary. Or just say it's a deal that makes sense. Pistons basically keep JD, Asar, Cade, and Ron. But you're going to lose Ivy, you're going to lose Tobias, and whatever the picks are. Would you do it for Larry Markkinen this summer?
I guess it depends on how many. I guess it depends on how many picks. There's definitely a package you can talk me into, but do I want to make a Mikal Bridges trade for Laurie Markkinen when Laurie Markkinen has really never proven that he impacts winning that much?
Yeah,
I don't, because at least Mikal Bridges, there were years in Phoenix and stuff where you could tell that he was an impact player on a team that could win a title. He was important to those Phoenix teams.
Yeah.
So it's that's where it's he's shown you at least. I think that was an overpay still. Same thing with the Cat deal. It was obviously the Cat deal was actually a better one for the Knicks, I think. But that's another deal that I think made a ton of sense for the Knicks. Because he had proven he was a good player on a very good team. Laurie hasn't proven that yet. Honestly, I mean the perfect player for this team, unfortunately, resides on a division rival, and it's Pascal Siakam. That would have been a reasonably gettable guy. Obviously, he's not now because he's helping Indiana tremendously. But Pascal Siakam on the Pistons, oh my dude, I can't even tell you. Cade, Ivy, Asar, Pascal, and Duren. Oh, forget about it. That's a really good team. That's a really, really good team.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. Because then you've got that secondary scorer. You've got your 2 and your 3rd scorer in Ivy and Pascal. Plenty of playmaking.
And you have Asar creating for them, and Duren running the court for lobs and putbacks. Oh God, give me a break.
Yeah. But I think to go back to it, I think though, is there that player right now that I feel like the less risky option, especially with these younger guys, is to just run it back. If they're gonna go the way we think they are.
I've been thinking about it long and hard. It's a name that I know the Pistons community is split on. Yeah. And it would be a ginormous risk.
Yeah.
But if the price was right, Zion Williamson Detroit would make a ton of sense. It's such a huge risk. Obviously, you don't know what you're going to get from him game to game. You don't know what you're going to get from him week to week, month to month. He might get in his feelings and have a binge eating contest for a month and gain 20 pounds and then, his knees can't hang or whatever. But it's I feel like the Pistons are not going to be able to get that super obvious star trade, right?
Yeah.
Everybody keeps saying book. It's not going to happen. The package, but I could see Zion being such a pariah that teams are we just can't do it. And then Trajan, if he made the deal, he knows Zion better than anyone.
Yeah.
So that I would have, if he made that deal, I'd have to have some trust that he believes it's good for the team. But like Zion would legit be like one of the most perfect forwards to this team because he's an automatic bucket. Every time he touches the ball, he's bucket. Nobody can stop him. I watched him play the other night against the Kings. Literally, Sabonis just gave up because Zion was bullying him so bad. Every time, getting to his left, no matter what Sabonis did, just going through him because he's strong, going around him because he's faster, more athletic. He still has the hops. He had 3 mean dunks. That's a player that I could see, like, maybe Trajan says, I think Cade could get the best out of Zion. And if he did, and I think Milo move, obviously, I don't think they would be putting together this heroes package for Zion, considering his, like, reputation around the league. That could be, like, Cade and Zion would be the most fun duo. I think we talked about that on one stream. They would be the most fun duo in the NBA. So, like, that's a move that I think if somehow all the stars aligned and it got done, I think I would be happy because Trajan knows him better than anyone else. If he thinks Cade can do it, Cade can get the best out of him, that would make just a ton of. I wonder what the chat's saying. I can't see the comments.
It's
Are they roasting me?
Oh, see Nick, no Zion. Pistons next. Cody, no. How could you? I think it's a lot to do with the injuries, but I think like if the Pistons are going to maybe trade for that superstar type talent, it's going to be because, like we've said in the past, they get a guy who is struggling with injury or his value is lower than, at its lowest.
That's the thing that Pistons fans have to understand. They're gonna have to take a swing at some point, and you're not getting that star that's like, oh my god, this is a can't miss dude. Like, you're not getting that. You're not getting a can't miss. You're not getting Devin Booker who never is injured or rarely ever injured, and he's a consistent almost 30-point per game scorer. Like that. There's gonna be a million other suitors. You're gonna have to take a chance on a guy who other NBA teams don't believe is a good option. And you're not like Indiana played it perfectly. They took a risk. They traded for Siakam, like knowing the risk was there that he could potentially walk. They got the extension done, and then look how that's worked out for them. It's elevated the ceiling of their team. They're still in a championship contender, but they are. I could see a world where they make the Eastern Conference Finals this year if everything broke right and like the Celtics or like a Celtics or Cavs player got hurt, and even if they went to the, I could see them pushing like the Cavs or the Celtics to 6 or 7 games. I mean, they pushed the Celtics to 6 games last year? Or was it 2 years ago?
The Pacers, it was 6.
Yeah. In the Eastern Conference Finals, right?
Yeah. No, it was.
Yeah, exactly. So like, they're not.
There's a massive lag on your side.
I'm having a little bit of a brain fart, but they took a risk on Siakam and it paid off. Like, because Indiana also didn't have the assets to go and do anything crazy, like super crazy. Yeah. That's like, if you're not the Nets, the Thunder, the Rockets, these teams with treasure troves of assets, you're not getting in the conversation for a guy like Booker or whoever. Name the next guy out that's going to ask out. If a Giannis asks out, you're not getting in those conversations. Like, don't even worry about it. You're going to have to shoot. You're going to have to shoot your shot on the guy that the rest of the NBA looks at and says, like, this guy is not worth that much. And hope that you can get the best out of him. I think Zion is a player that, in the right place, literally, the last 5 games, he's averaging almost 30 points a game. Obviously, small sample size, but that one season where he played 1 million games, he had like Shaq level efficiency. He was one of the best paint scorers in like the last 2 decades. I mean, his finishing is unreal. So I mean, like, yes, don't get me wrong. it's a very flawed star. But if he panned out, that could be a move where you look back in 3 years and you say, when the Pistons made a finals appearance, it's because they made that move. Obviously, I'm not saying that's going to happen. Who knows what'll happen, but like, that's just the vein of player that I think of when I think of who a four who could really upgrade the roster, who's realistic. Because I don't think a lot of other guys that people would point to are.
Yeah, I will say if they got Zion, I would be a bit concerned about Asar, Zion, and Duran as like the 3, 4, 5 because of the shooting. But like obviously, once you get Zion, if you're that invested in your
you get Zion, you trade Duran for a 5 who can stretch the floor. You just play the game. You just play the game a different way.
You're just building around Cade and Zion, and whoever fits around them.
You just change the calculus a little bit. And I think a 5 who can shoot is easier to find than a 4 that moves and plays like Zion Williams. You know, you just change the calculus a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I'm going to wrap it up, Cody, my man. But any final thoughts before we get out of here on the Pistons All-Star break, anything like that?
They're winning tomorrow for sure. I'm at the point now with this team where I actually think the Hornets game was a wake-up call in like, okay, we're better than these teams now. We're not last year's Pistons. We're better than these teams. We have to still play hard and close them out. I think the Bulls, in their mind, they're already in Cancun or wherever they're going for the All-Star break because none of them are going. So wherever they're going, if they want to, well, I suppose if they wanted to go hang out at All-Star weekend, they could. But I think they all have their vacations planned, and they're all ready to hit the road. And I think, hey, listen, guess what? You come to the All-Star break refreshed, and you have a great challenge right away. You have Wemby and De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, I've watched a couple Spurs games, so I was curious. They look fine, but I don't think they're like scary. Wemby's going to get his. De'Aaron Fox is going to get his. The rest of the guys, don't let them get theirs. You can win. And then you're on what? That would be a 4 or 5 game win streak. Use that to momentum and you know, play that tough stretch you've got against some West Coast teams and the Celtics, and try to finish try to finish with a nice little 7-3, 8-2, 10-game stretch, and really put some distance between yourself and the 7, 8, 9 seeds.
I love it, brother.
I'm pumped though, Jack. I'm freaking jacked.
Let's go, man. This is unreal.
I could be happy.
Same, my man.
It's amazing.
It's awesome. And like I always just think back when you and I are chatting to where we were at just the start of this season, and to think where we are now, I'm jacked like you. I'm just like, it's so good. I'm so happy for all of us fans. Like that's overall,
yeah,
like,
dude. I mean,
players, but just like all of us fans, man, it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure you remember after the Jazz game when I was ready to jump off a building.
Yeah.
You remember that? You remember my reaction? I don't know if I said like I'm gonna kill myself or something like that, but I was like, this. I was like,
you went that far, but yeah.
But then, honestly, might have been. I'm not gonna give myself too much credit, but I came on the next stream and I said, blow it up, trade everybody. Obviously, being overreactionary, and from that game forward, they have been balling.
They have.
So you know what? That's why I said it on like, I don't know, maybe 5 streams ago. I love to be wrong.
No, that's awesome.
This is the best. I wish people clip that. I wish people trash me on Twitter. I wish everybody saw it and everybody's like, this guy's an idiot. I would have embraced it because I would have said, you know what? I just care that much. And I think all of my negative energy that boiled over that night, somehow, some way in the cosmos, lit a fire under the somehow. Like it all just boiled up and it just propelled them forward. That's me being a lunatic, by the way. But
you're cool, brother. Well, we were everyone here.
But I won't keep you too much longer, Jack. I know you got to wrap it up. It's always great talking to you, man.
You're a legend, Cody, man. Always enjoy your passion, brother. Enjoy the night, and we'll chat soon, man.
Sounds good.
Catch you, bro. So I'm going to go another couple of minutes here because I have my man Campbell reach out and he wants to jump on. So we're going to go just a few more minutes here. I just quickly saw his DM. So we're going to get Campbell up here and we'll get some more thoughts on the game. And John wants to join. All right. So what I'm going to do, guys, we're going to go and we'll go 5 minutes with Campbell and we'll go 5 minutes with John. If people want to join, we've got to keep this show going as long as I can. So, John, I'm just replying to you now. We'll go 5 minutes with Campbell, then we'll do 5 minutes with you and we'll close it out. Then I will definitely have to wrap it up. So, let's go. Let me just check. I've sent this link. Yeah. Beautiful, guys. Joe, we might be here forever, but hey, this show goes as long as you guys want it to. Well, I kind of do have a cap at 2 hours today, but no, I want to always make time for everyone because this show is for you guys. Campbell, what's going on, my man?
Hey, how are we? Good, yeah.
Good,
Great
mate.
game today.
How good?
Phenomenal.
Did you catch it all?
Not all of it, but I've watched it back a little bit now. I got pretty much the whole last quarter and most of the first half. But yeah, I was just like keeping up with the score. Like I had it on just on my like tablet while I was at work. And I was like just coming back and checking it every like 10 minutes, and it's like, oh, we're up by 20 at quarter time, and then we're up by 40, and I'm like, what is going on? It just kept going up and up. No, definitely not. Yeah.
Lead, but then the other team just comes straight back. Like it's the Hornets the other night was the same, but
yeah.
What a fun game. What a fun game.
Yeah, very fun. So good. And like we've just been smashing teams recently. Like aside, like the Hornets were up big. We should have won by more. And then Philly we smashed. Like it's good to see.
It really is, man. And it's like the Philly game, like no Cade either. Like just was ridiculous. Like I didn't all that game live, but yeah, man, it's awesome.
Yeah, they had all three of the like they had Maxey, Paul George, and Embiid as well, and we beat him without Cade easily. So just sort of shows where we're at, I think.
Literally, man, it's so awesome. Like it's like I'm just loving every moment of it. Like I don't know if you're like this, but you just kind of like during these games where they're up by 20 or 40,
40.
Like I've been waiting so long to be like that team that can get up and be up by 20 points or be up by 30 points. 40 points is just ridiculous, but like it's like shit. This is what we've been waiting for in a way.
Definitely. Yeah, it's been so good. It's been so good. I'm a lot more stress free.
So true. Relax watching the games.
Yeah. Well, it's like even if we get a lead, like because I can't catch all the games. When I was at work, I used to just like still have to come back and check to see if we still had the lead. But now when I come back, the lead's grown, and it's like yes.
Oh, it's unreal, man. Or like because I'm the same. Like I'll be at work and like you might catch a glimpse. I'm not sure how you watch the games or if you just check the scores, but like I'd have my league pass on at my computer, or if I was out on the work site, like I'd sneak and watch like 10 minutes. Yeah. They might have a lead, but you'd come back and you're like, oh, they lost. By 15, they lost. But now it's like even the Hornets game, which like it kind of you want to see them win by, hold the lead and really dominate. But I still never thought they were going to lose, which is not a position
exactly
really felt.
And it's like we're beating the teams that we're supposed to beat as well. And like we're challenging teams above us. So I honestly think even with the teams that we've lost to, like most games we've been in, we haven't been blown out many times this year, the whole season. So great signs overall. I think we're really well constructed. I'd honestly love to see us run it back with this similar-ish team next season, see what we can do.
I'm the same. Like Cody and I were just talking about some moves that could come down the line, but like just for me personally, I think I'm with you. I don't fully understand the cap and all that and how it looks, but it would just be really hard for me to break up the young guys. I mean, it's just like, and I've like said some things about JD this season, like his effort and stuff, and questioned it and spoken about moving him, but like he just seems like a different player in 2025. Like the chemistry's, you can't underestimate that.
Yeah, especially like we've got 4. I think Ivy, Cade, Azar, and JD. Like they're 4. It's a core that you can really build around going forward, I think. And when you get like games when they're all playing, I know it's hard with Ivy out now, but it just builds the chemistry so well. And we see teams like the Celtics and even the Cavs that have had like seasons together. Shows how good you can be if you just get games in.
Yeah,
100%. Really young players. Yeah.
And there's even like the 4 guys that you just mentioned, Ivy, Cade, Asar, and Duran. Like there was like a last year when they got Fontecchio and they were starting those 4 in Tech, like the minutes, like the advanced numbers showed they actually were like a positive 5-man unit. So like, I don't mean put those 4 out there with Tech next season, but it's just like if you get a serviceable, like a 3 or a 4-man that can shoot and play a bit of D, like those 4 can work. And I think that's what's been so cool about Duran and Asar, like in the month of January and up to now. Like, those 2, since starting together, defensively work really nicely, and like offensively, the team's making it work. And they're obviously, like you said, they're blowing teams out. Like it's just everything's clicking right now. So there's no reason why, like with Jade and Ivy back, and if they keep Tobias next season, why probably wouldn't run it back.
Yeah, that's it.
Any other? Sorry, I got to rush you, brother. But
no worries at all. I'll say I think. I think we handled the trade deadline about as well as we could. We didn't give up anything, and we got Schroeder. So I think like we could have made a bigger move, but like I think we handled it perfectly. We didn't give up a single thing. So
I agree.
I'm pretty happy with how it was handled overall.
Same. I was a bit worried until the news that they were getting Schroeder in that trade, or however it ended up working. But I think they walk away with, they addressed their biggest need, which is a point guard or backup point guard. And I think they got 2 or 3 second-round picks. So, I mean, I'm with you. I think that was pretty ideal.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we didn't give up anyone that was important. So, like
exactly. And
that was the main thing that I was worried about. I was like, if they make a big move, we might lose someone that like I really loved watching. So it was good to see that.
No, absolutely, brother. Well, thanks so much for jumping on, man. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me, mate.
We'll get you on here very soon. Hopefully, sure. A weekend game that works for you better with your schedule. But
no worries. Yeah, I'll let you know.
All right, catch you, mate.
Cheers, Jack. See ya.
Bye. All right, now I'm just going to drop John a link. We'll get him up here and we'll close out the show. I ended up having, I think, 5 guests after. I didn't think I was going to have any at the start. So thank you to everyone who's jumped on stream for coming through and making this an awesome show. And all you guys in the comments, appreciate you. I got Cody in here now defending his Zion take. I definitely get the thought behind what Cody means as Zion. Even if Zion does scare the shit out of me, like if it did hit, like Cody was saying, and that did make sense, that would be pretty exciting. But thank you to all of you, Adam, Joe B, Dante, C and Inc, who was up here earlier. All your comments just help make this show go. So thank you to you guys. John, what's going on, bro?
What's going on?
We got you here in the final minute.
The first thing I have to say. I didn't watch the game. I woke up 20 minutes ago. It's 7 a.m. I woke up 20 minutes ago. I saw the score. I had to hop on while you were still live.
As soon as I saw your DM, I was like, "No, we're getting you up. We're getting you up." So have you even watched highlights or anything?
I watched a little bit of the highlights. I've been watching the highlights. I haven't finished them yet, but I'm so happy. Like winning by 40. I think it was 132-92. It's insane.
Yeah, my score's wrong down the bottom. I stuffed it up. But yeah, the fact, 40-point win, like what the hell? That was such a fun game, man.
I look through. I just did some very preliminary research, but as far as I know, it's the 5th biggest win in Pistons history.
Wow.
So, and like the biggest in the last 10 years. So,
insane.
It's a really, really great win. We held them to not even 30 points by the half. Like, that's insane.
It was actually crazy. Yeah, biggest halftime lead in franchise history, that one was. And you've probably seen it by now, they were up by, at halftime, they were up by over 40. So, yeah. I think it got close to 50 in the third quarter for a moment there. It was ridiculous. It was incredible, man. You're going to enjoy watching it back. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I would definitely watch back the first half. Like, it was just absolute domination. Like, defense, offense, hitting threes. Like, it was
I'm watching that definitely back.
You have to, man. Like, as someone who tries to, like, post highlights and stuff, like, dude, I was like, I'd look up, be halfway through making a post and be like, oh, shit, I got to make another one, or I scrap this one because this one's better. So there was so many good plays, and such a fun game. Might be the funnest game of the season, honestly. Just like not 1 point was it even close. Like it was awesome.
It's complete domination. Like, insane. Absolutely. I want to give some shout outs to the guy, Malik Beasley, franchise leader in three-pointers made. We aren't even at the All-Star break. That's kind of insane.
It's ridiculous.
Also, want to give some shout outs to Jalen Duren. He might be Alperen Sengun. 5 assists again today, no turnovers. That assist ratio is looking insane in the last few games. Assist to turnover ratio. So he does not turn the ball over in like the last week. So
great chat. And I think were you the one that brought it up on last stream when we were talking about
I did.
I did. So I think I accidentally stole your thunder at the start of this stream while I was talking about it, but you were the one who brought it up. Last stream or the one before, we were talking about the turnovers to his assists. And third straight game with 5 or more assists, and I think he had no turnovers tonight. I think he just said.
Yeah, he didn't have a single one tonight. Last game he had like 1, I think.
Like you said, maybe we're looking at baby Jokic.
Yo, don't let me say crazy things.
Oh man, I love it, brother. Well, unfortunately, I got to wrap up the show, but I'm sure you probably got to actually get to school. But I'll let you leave us with one final thing.
Yo, I'm so sad Bobby wasn't with the team today. We would have seen some real Bobby minutes. It's a tragedy. One day we'll see real Bobby minutes.
One day we'll get it. One day we will, brother. Well, thanks for jumping on, man. Thanks for making the time. I think this is the first time we've had you on when it's not like midnight or later. So
yeah,
awesome to have you on, man. And we'll get you back on very soon. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
All right, catch you, man. Bye.
Catch you.
All right, guys. Shout out to John and Campbell for coming in at the final buzzer to get us up to 5 guests today. Shout out to those two. Shout out to Cody. Shout out to my man Hash from Seeing Ink. Shout out to my man Alan. Shout out to my man Mark and Alan for the super chats. Appreciate your donations. That means a lot. And just shout out to everyone in the chat here. What have we got from Adam? Thank you, Pistons Jack. Great content. Appreciate you, Adam. Thank you for all your comments, my friend. All this conversation in the chat is just as important as what goes on the screen here. So thank you to you guys for generating such good conversation and helping keep the show going. Like I said earlier, Joe B, Dante, Pistons next. You all really help in the chat, and I appreciate all your comments and all your support for the channel. So I think that's going to do it, guys. We've gone over 2 hours. Definitely worth it today. And I will be honest, tomorrow's stream is going to be like a game time decision. We'll see how we go. I might be able to do one. I might not. But if I can't, I think we'll be back. We might have to do a stream after the All-Star game. We'll see. We'll see what happens over All-Star weekend. But we'll obviously be back to doing the live streams after the All-Star break. But until then, as always, go Pistons.